welcome to Champi Travels. In this channel, you will get inspiration on how to travel more mindfully. And in today's video, I will give you some advice on how to travel more sustainably. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button, so that way you can get all of the notifications of the videos that are coming up every Friday. As tourism slowly starts coming back after the worst times of the pandemic, there is a bunch of us that are wondering, how is that comeback going to be? Or more exactly, what should it be like? Before I go into the tips on how to practice sustainable tourism, it's important to clarify what I mean by sustainable tourism. In a few words, practicing sustainable tourism aims to minimize our environmental footprint, has a balance between environmental health, human well-being, and economic growth, and tries to minimize the negative impacts that tourism brings to communities while trying to maximize the benefits that it goes towards the local population and the environment. If you would like to know in more detail what exactly is sustainable tourism and all the branches that come with it, like ecotourism, conscious travel, or slow travel, I have made a video where I explain all of them. You can see it here. So if you want to be part of that transition and become a more mindful and conscious traveler, here are 10 tips on how to practice sustainable traveling in your next trip. Get off the beaten path. Before the pandemic, we were experiencing this phenomenon called mass tourism, where beloved and really known places were getting extremely crowded. This was very problematic, as it was not only causing devastation to the location and to the region where it was happening, let it be a natural place, a community, or even traditions. And so, now that traveling and tourism is kicking off again, keeping these really touristy places might be a good idea. A huge amount of people tend to revolve and only go to these top destinations, making them extremely crowded when visiting. But there are so many more amazing destinations to visit out there, sometimes even next to the ones that are extremely touristic. So choosing somewhere that maybe is not that well known will not be really beneficial for you, but also to the place that you're visiting. While it may be tempting to go to the same bucket list destinations that everyone is Instagramming, it can be even more rewarding to explore these unknown destinations. The reality also is that many touristic hotspots do not really live up to their expectations. You may even experience that you have to wait hours in a line to just get one photo, and that it doesn't even look the same as it did online. Opt for closer destinations. We sometimes have this idea in our head that traveling is going to faraway places, taking a plane and going somewhere that is very far away from home. But the reality is that there are incredible places very close to home that sometimes we will not even know about. Try to make a plan to know more about your region, about your country, about the areas that are close to you. I have talked to many fellow nationals of Mexico that do not even know about so many destinations in our own country. And I'm sure that may happen to you as well. And to be honest, sometimes it's quite embarrassing that a lot of foreigners talk to you about this awesome place in your country that you've never been, you've never seen, or you've never even heard about. So give the time to know more about where you come from, and you will see how amazing this experience might be. Practice slow traveling. We usually want to see all of these places, destinations, cities, towns. We try to cram as much as we can in this really short period of time. What you may not notice is that you're actually skipping this immersion in the culture and in the place that you are in. If you are only skipping from one place to another, this is not possible to have. This huge connection, this understanding of the local place. Slowing things down will make you appreciate where you are, to understand the purpose of your traveling, to have a different perspective. Maybe you can take local dancing classes or learn how to prepare a traditional dish from the region that you're in. There are usually many activities that you don't really know that exist if you are just passing and rushing through. And this is truly an awesome way to make mindful traveling where the locals will also benefit from your stay. An extra bonus is that slow travel is also better for the environment, since it reduces the amount of carbon emissions that you may take by flying or by taking the car more. Use efficient modes of transportation. Approximately 8% of the world's carbon emissions come from the tourism industry and traveling. And more importantly, air and car footprints have a huge carbon footprint in the environment. All transportation requires energy, but some require a lot more than others. So it does make a difference whichever one you choose. In general, planes and cars are the least efficient modes of transportation. But sadly, in a lot of countries, this is the way that is more economical to actually travel. If you will choose a car for your travels, then choosing a smaller car is the best option. There is also the option of going by bus, which in a lot of countries can be a good option, as you are sharing the carbon emissions with more people than just a car. If you're in a region that offers transportation, such as a train, it is a great way to cut your emissions while also being able to marvel at the scenery that you're passing through. If Mexico had a passenger train that went all around the country, I will with no doubt go in there as much as I could. Another way you can cut your emissions while being already in destination is by choosing efficient modes of transportation within the place you're in. Walk as much as possible. Maybe even have a bike and bike around. And also use local forms of transportation such as tram or maybe bus. But always walk when possible. Consume local while traveling. One of the best ways to practice sustainable travel is by choosing to buy local. Local food, souvenirs, crafts. By consuming this way, you leave a positive footprint in the community and their economies. Go to a local market to do your grocery shopping. Go to local restaurants that offer regional food. Not only is it great for the place that you are visiting, but you will also be more connected to the place and to the region and the culture. You might even make connections that will help you have a better experience in your traveling. Do research prior to your trip. Understanding the place that you are going to be visiting is extremely important. Even if it is a very close destination, understanding about the traditions, the culture, the food, or even the places that you would like to avoid, it's very important. It is an essential part of conscious travel. You will definitely have a better experience if you already know something about where you are visiting. It's important to learn about customs that may be different from your own. And the locals will be very grateful that you actually took the time to understand and research about their place. It is always an amazing gesture and the least you can do for the place you are visiting. And maybe once you know more about this place, by asking questions to the locals will make you have deeper connections and therefore a better and more enriching experience. Get involved with local activities that would leave a benefit to the community. By getting involved in sustainable travel, you are already becoming a direct participant in its awareness and global growth. And one of the best ways to get immersed into sustainable traveling is to do some volunteering or helping with community work. You can participate in forest, beach, or city cleanups, maybe even help plant native trees, or any other activity that will benefit the community in the short and the long run too. Look for accommodation and services that offer sustainable practices. When planning your trip, try looking for places that offer sustainable practices. There are many hotels that can be quite expensive because of that unique factor, about being more aware and conscious about their footprint. But it doesn't always have to be expensive. There are plenty of restaurants, hotels, and shops that will have a fairly good price, and that may not be even labeled as sustainable, but by asking a few questions about their policies, the way they run, their practices, you may realize that in fact they approach sustainability in many different ways. You can always ask these people, these operators, these services, what are the practices? If there is something specific that you want to know, it's just as easy as asking. Say no to single-use items. When we travel, we tend to buy a lot of single-use items because of how practical it is when being just on the go. But you can counteract that by bringing your own reusable items. A must is a good-sized reusable bottle of water that you can refill in many places around. 2 or 3 foldable reusable bags that you can use for grocery shopping or carrying mostly anything. Perhaps a set of utensils, a fork, a knife, a spoon, and maybe reusable straws. By bringing this with you, will be much easier to not accept anything that is disposable and to be more conscious about when it is offered to you. But if you also happen to not have these items with you, instead of having coffee or food to go, try enjoying the moment if you have time and consume them there. This way, you will definitely avoid disposable items. And the last tip is lead by example. When it comes to raising awareness of a certain issue, it is always good to start on what we can do as individuals. So put into action these practices. We should start by changing ourselves, and by doing these changes, then inspire others. What I have realized is that systematic changes depends a lot on us as individuals. When we start doing something and people follow, and eventually more and more people follow, it's possible that then the new normal might become that change. Because we are demanding it more and more, and then businesses, corporations, and services will have to then offer it. It's us, the consumers, who drive the demand up. Do you have any practice that makes you a more sustainable travel? Leave it in the comments so that we can get some inspiration. After all these years, we have started to realize how our footprint can be extremely negative towards the environment. And the pandemic actually became a huge eye-opener to people, institutions, governments, communities. And we are now beginning to understand how our impact can actually be positive, where sustainability and awareness is crucial to start tourism again. So now that you're joining the tourism industry again and traveling again, by choosing to do it as a traveler that is conscious and responsible, you're actually making a bigger impact than you realize. We have an unprecedented opportunity to start things fresh and move onto a good path forward. There's never been a better time to rethink past habits and incorporate a sustainable way of traveling. Let's reshape the way that we travel. Let's do it mindfully and consciously. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so that you can get the notification of every video coming on Fridays. Let's keep traveling mindfully together.